If you dig the twisted, admire the outlandish, and are enamored by the unusual, you're in the right place. True crime, the supernatural, the unexplained, now you're speaking our language. If you agree, join us as we dive into the darker side. You know, because it's more fun over here. Welcome to Total Conundrum.
Warning, some listeners may find the following content disturbing. Listener discretion is advised. Ha 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 ha.
Hey, Conundrum crew. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Total Conundrum. Today, Traci and I are thrilled to take you on an unforgettable journey into the realm of the mysterious and unknown.
That's right, folks. And hold on to your seats because we're about to delve into the unnerving tale of the infamous 657 Boulevard, better known as the Watcher House.
Picture this. Nestled in the serene suburbs of a quaint town stands a grand Victorian mansion, but behind its picturesque facade lies a dark secret straight out of a horror movie.
Legend has it that a sinister entity known as the Watcher has claimed ownership of this house, tormenting its inhabitants with chilling letters and ominous threats.
Ooh. Imagine receiving letters filled with cryptic messages, warnings of unseen eyes watching your every move. It's enough to send shivers down anyone's spine.
Heck yeah. But who or what is the Watcher?
I don't know. You tell me.
We'll get to it.
Okay.
And what malevolent force lurks within the shadows of 657 Boulevard, preying on the unsuspecting souls who dare to call it home.
Now, join us as we peel back the layers of mystery surrounding the Watcher House, uncovering the dark truths that lie hidden within its walls. So grab a flashlight and steel your nerves, because this is the story you won't want to experience alone.
As always, we value your feedback. Please rate and review our podcast on Apple and Spotify, subscribe and like on YouTube, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode.
Hoo-yah! Your support keeps us going. If you have any story ideas or recommendations, contact us at totalconundrum.com, or you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Today, we'll be featuring trailers from our podcast pals, Where the Weird Ones Are and Dorky. Please show them the love and support that you show us.
Stay tuned, Conundrum crew, as we embark on a bone-chilling journey into the heart of the 657 Boulevard and confront the terrors that await within. Let the adventure begin.
We'll be back after these messages.
What's up, frickin' weirdos? My name is Kevin, and I'm the host of Where the Weird Ones Are podcast. This is a conversational podcast based on guest experiences and encounters with paranormal, cryptids, aliens, spirituality, mental health, as well as conspiracies. If these topics interest you, you can find me on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, as well as YouTube and Rumble. If you have an encounter or an experience of something that you can't quite explain, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me at wheretheweirdonesare@gmail.com, where_the_weirdonesare on Instagram, and Where the Weird Ones Are on Facebook. I hope to hear from you, my friends. Question everything and stay weird.
So, in June 2014, after Derek Brodus finished painting at his new home in Westfield, New Jersey, he needed a break and to stretch his legs.
Oh, poor baby.
He decided to go outside to get the mail. Derek and his wife, Maria, had just bought the 6-bedroom house at 657 Boulevard 3 days earlier and were fixing it up before moving in. Among the usual bills, he found a white envelope with thick, clunky writing addressed to the new owner with no return address. The Broaddus family's purchase of 657 Boulevard was a dream come true. Maria had grown up in Westfield, and the house was close to her childhood home. Derek had worked very hard, starting from a working-class background in Maine, and he eventually became a senior vice president in an insurance company in Manhattan. His salary allowed them to afford the $1.3 million house. They bought 657 Boulevard shortly after Derek turned 40.
Wow, Mr. Moneybags.
Right?
Holy crap.
Derek opened the envelope and began to read the typed letter.
Oh, this can't be good, right?
And the letter says,
Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with the force within? 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now. And as it approaches its 110th birthday, I have been put in charge of watching it and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched it in the 1960s. It is now my time. My time, I tell you!
wow.
Do you know the history of the house? Do you? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out.
Creepy.
I see already that you have flooded 657 Boulevard with contractors so that you can destroy the house as it was supposed to be. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Bad move. You don't want to make 657 Boulevard unhappy, do you? You have children? I have seen them so far. I think I want to eat them. I think there are 3 that I have counted. Are there more on the way? Hint, hint. I asked the woods to bring me young blood, and it looks like they listened. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood? I requested. Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it greed to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me. Who am I? There are hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I am in one. Look at all the windows. You can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I am one. Look out. Any of the many windows in 657 Boulevard. And all the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I'm one. Welcome, my friends. Welcome. Let the party begin.
And this letter was signed in a cursive font, The Watcher.
The Watcher.
What would you do if you received a letter like that?
Cry. It's so scary.
That is creepy as hell.
Creepy AF.
Creepy AF.
Oh, yeah.
So it was after 10 p.m., and Derek was alone at the time. Panicked, he quickly turned off the lights to prevent anyone from seeing inside, and then contacted the Westfield Police Department. An officer arrived, read the disturbing letter, and reacted with shock. And he asked,
What the fuck is this?
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I know. That's how I feel about it. It's just crazy.
Followed by asking Derek if he had any enemies. Concerned for their safety, the officer suggested moving a piece of construction equipment from the back porch to prevent potential attacks by the Watcher.
I'd be getting some hellhounds. Right? My goddamn doors.
Right? That I would see. I don't think I would turn off all the lights. I would either be leaving or turning every light on because I want to see everything that's in that house.
Shit, you would have already been in the truck and in New Mexico.
Probably.
I'm heading for the border. There goes Traci. Do you see the smoke?
The Traci-sized hole in the wall as I ran through it.
I didn't know her legs could move that fast. Look at her go.
Shoo, there she goes. And as we said in the resurrection episode, she gone.
She gone. Oh, yeah.
Well, Derek quickly returned home to his family. They were staying at their previous home elsewhere in Westfield. That night, Derek and Maria emailed John and Andrea Woods, the couple who had sold them 657 Boulevard, asking if they had any clue about the identity of the Watcher or why the letter contained unsettling phrases like, I asked the Woods to bring me young blood, and it looks like they listened. I mean, creepy as hell. You can't just say, I mean, even if they said bring me children, that'd be creepy as hell. But to phrase it as bringing me young blood.
Bring me the young blood.
Wow. The next morning, Andrea Woods responded. She revealed that a few days before they moved out, they had also received a letter from the Watcher. Andrea described the note as strange, with similar references to the Watcher's family observing the house over time. However, Andrea and her husband hadn't encountered anything like this during the 23 years in the house and had simply thrown the letter away without much consideration. If I got a letter like that, I wouldn't just throw it away.
Yeah, you'd probably call the cops first.
Right.
And then they would throw it away.
In response, the Woodses accompanied Maria to the police station that day. Detective Leonard Lugo advised Maria not to disclose the existence of the letters to anyone, including her neighbors, most of whom she had never met. Everyone
to cover up conspiracy. The cops are involved.
The cops are involved. They did it. Everyone in the neighborhood was now considered a suspect.
The property's too close to Dunkin' Donuts. You must leave.
They need their hideout to be able to eat their donuts and drink their coffee.
Mm-hmm.
In the following weeks, the Broaddus family remained on edge. Derek decided to cancel a work trip, unwilling to leave his family in such an unsettling situation. Whenever Maria brought the kids to their new home, she made sure to call out their names loudly if they strayed too far away in the secluded yard. During a tour of the renovation for a neighboring couple, Derek was taken aback when the wife casually remarked, "It'll be nice to have some young blood in the neighborhood."
Uh-oh.
Red flags.
What's happening with her?
And why are we saying the term young blood? That's just wrong.
It's a little creepy.
So this innocent comment struck a nerve, reminding them of the unsettling messages that they had received. Adding to their unease, the general contractor arrived one morning to find that a heavy sign he had firmly planted in the front yard had been forcibly removed overnight, further heightening the sense of vulnerability and fear. 2 weeks after receiving the initial letter, Maria visited the house to browse some paint samples and collect the mail. As she sifted through the letters, she immediately recognized the distinctive, thick black lettering on another card-shaped envelope.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Sensing the potential threat, she promptly contacted the police for assistance.
See, that's where, the first people were probably smart. They just threw the first one away and said, whatever. So they probably kept throwing them away for a while, just ignoring him.
That's probably right.
And then they probably just gave up after a while.
Yeah, if he's not getting any attention from it, he or she, then yeah.
That's no fun.
No. Well, this letter said,
Welcome again to your new house at 657 Boulevard. The workers have been busy, and I have been watching you unload carfuls of personal belongings. The dumpster is a nice touch. Have they found what is in the walls yet? In time, they will.
what does he mean by that? What the fuck is in the walls?
I'm afraid to ask. I mean, really?
I mean, seriously.
I told you, put the letter down and burn it.
Burn it to the ground.
Jeez, don't be ridiculous.
Well, this time, the watcher addressed Derek and Maria directly. However, he misspelled their names as Mr. and Mrs. Braddis.
Jeez, he's only got a third grade education. Jeez, give him a break here.
This raised unsettling questions. Had the watcher been close enough to overhear one of the Braddis' contractors addressing them? The watcher claimed to have gathered extensive knowledge about the family over the preceding weeks, particularly about the children.
Oh.
The letter chillingly identified the Braddis' 3 kids by their birth order and nicknames.
How?
Right? And the letter continues to say,
I am pleased to know your names now, and the names of the young blood you have brought to me. You certainly say their names often.
What a creeper. That just, bringing the kids into it. That's a no-go zone. That's a red zone, dude.
Yeah, that's a touchy topic.
Oh, the letter further probed about one child in particular, whom the writer had observed using an easel inside the enclosed porch. And he said,
Is she the artist in the family?
This intimate knowledge and unnerving focus intensified the Braddis' fear and sense of invasion. Well, hell yeah.
Time to move yet or what?
Right?
How long are we going to do this for?
Ghosts are one thing, but people are even creepier and can actually harm you.
But I mean, if he's watching them, then they should be able to watch him.
You would think so. It's only fair.
You know, cameras and, all that good stuff. They could be setting that up. They could catch him. And then what I would do is I would bag up some poop and then throw it on his porch and light it on fire. Ring his doorbell and ding, 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 ding. Hello, watcher.
Watch this.
Watch this, you mother.
Well, the letter continued.
Oh boy. It goes on and on and on. It's like a revolving door.
It does. And he says,
657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement? Or are they too afraid to go down the stairs alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Will they sleep in the attic? Or will you all sleep on the second floor? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in which room. Then I can plan better. All of the windows and doors in 657 Boulevard allow me to watch you and track you as you move throughout the house. Who am I? I am the Watcher, and you've been in control of 657 Boulevard for the better part of 2 decades now. The Woods family turned it over to you. It was their time to move on, and kindly sold it when I asked them to. I pass by many times a day. 657 Boulevard is my job, my life, my obsession. And now you are two Broadus family. And now you are too, Broadus family. Welcome to the product of your greed. Greed is what brought the past three families to 657 Boulevard. And now it has brought you to me. Have a happy move-in day. You know I will be watching.
Wow.
Freaky. I mean, that voice too that you hear in your head, it freaks the heck out of me.
It is very creepy,
Oh,
very
very.
chilling. And when you read that letter, that's how you hear the voice. I mean, at least I
right?
do.
That's how I hear it too.
Just the way he writes is very distinct and odd
Right.
too.
And it's so powerful of a voice that it's like I can feel it in my vocal cords. It's like they're getting sore
I'm
from
sure.
listening to him talk.
Right.
It's crazy.
You have empathy of
Right.
having to read all that and
vocal cord empathy.
totally.
Yeah.
Well, Derek and Maria decided to stop bringing their children to the house, unsure when or if they would feel safe enough to move in.
I mean, I wonder why.
Right?
I mean,
Valid point.
why are you even thinking about moving in?
Right.
Be like, can I get my money back, please?
Right. Well, several weeks later, a third letter arrived.
Oh, God. What now?
Ominously asking,
Where have you gone to? 657 Boulevard is missing you.
Creeper.
What a whack job. I mean, what does that even mean? It's like a riddle.
That
Jeez.
is
Riddle me this, riddler.
Is 657 Boulevard missing them or is he missing them? Because he's not getting any attention.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
Very much so.
So, does everybody die in this story or what?
Everyone dies.
I figured it's one of your stories.
Actually, this time, no one dies.
Holy what?
Right?
No way. I don't believe you. Let's get on with this.
All right, let's get on with it.
All right.
This message only added to the family's distress and uncertainty about their future in the home.
Shocker.
Right? Westfield is often referred to as Mayberry, similar to the picturesque setting of the Andy Griffith Show, where new neighbors might greet you with a friendly note. Situated just 45 minutes from New York City, it's considered a bit too slow-paced for singles, attracting primarily well-to-do families among its 30,000 residents. Although Bloomberg ranked Westfield as the 99th richest city in America, it's only the 18th wealthiest in New Jersey.
Bums.
Right?
What a bunch of bums.
In 2014, when the watcher first struck, the town was named the country's 30th safest by Neighborhood Scout.
They must have never met this dude.
Right? So, a couple fun facts.
Okay.
The guy who created the Addams Family show, he lived in this town.
No way.
And he made or designed the Addams Family house off of the homes in Westfield.
Really?
And for it being the country's 30th safest state, I don't know if you know this case, but John List.
I do not know this case.
Hey, he's a family annihilator.
Okay.
He killed his mother, wife, and their 3 children.
So it's basically like Ohio then.
Yes.
Got it.
But he lived in this town as well.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the same dude.
Definitely could be.
Oh,
it could be.
I solved the mystery.
Yeah. Cold case solved.
Yeah.
Mr. Conundrum did it.
Sound like Arsenio Hall.
Yeah. Haven't heard that name in a long time.
The dog pound.
That's right. Their local concerns tend to revolve around minor issues like the temporary closure of Trader Joe's
No.
due to a roof collapse.
No.
Right? Don't close the Trader Joe's,
No,
man.
we need that.
And what residents describe as unconstitutional policing, mainly referring to aggressive parking enforcement. Ooh, can't park in the wrong spot or you're going to get a ticket.
Oh, yeah. Those cops are strict down there.
Well,
Podunk.
Well, they took over their house for donut eating. So
right. I know.
It's worth noting that Westfield's population is predominantly white, comprising 86% of its residents. Buying a house in Westfield is widely acknowledged by locals as challenging and a competitive endeavor. According to one resident who preferred to remain anonymous when discussing Westfield's real estate, the process is tense, with both significant and financial stakes and egos. Bidding wars are not uncommon, with instances where friends have lost out on properties by staggering amounts, sometimes up to $300,000 over asking price.
Wowzers.
Wow. And why did they want to stay anonymous? It's kind of funny.
I'm not sure.
I need this to stay off the record, but this is what happens in this town.
Maybe it was dirty money.
Dirty money. Old money's dirty money. The Broaddus family's home was situated on the Boulevard, a prominent and sought-after street characterized by its wide, tree-lined avenues and some of
Elm Street.
Oh, Nightmare on Elm Street.
I think that's, yeah.
Ooh.
Is that the street he's referring to?
Maybe.
Oh, boy.
Maybe. And some of the most desirable properties in town. As noted by the Watcher, the Boulevard used to be the street to live on. You made it if you lived on the Boulevard, reflecting the prestige association with residents on this particular street. Makes me think of that moving on up.
Moving on up to the side.
Yes.
Shoot.
Finally got a piece of the pie. Sorry, guys. Constructed in 1905, 657 Boulevard stood out as one of the most impressive homes on the block. When the Woodses decided to sell it, they received multiple offers exceeding their asking price. Initially, the Broadduses speculated that the Watcher might be someone disgruntled about missing out on the house. However, the Woodses clarified that one interested buyer withdrew due to a medical diagnosis, while another one had already found a different home. In an email exchange with the Broadduses, Andrea Woods floated another possibility. Would the mention of the contractor trucks and your children suggest that it was someone in the neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
This raised the unsettling prospect that the Watcher could be someone within the community. The letters indeed hinted at proximity. They were processed in Kearney, which is a postal service distribution center in northern New Jersey, not too far away. The first letter bore a postmark of June 4th, predating the public announcement of the sale. The Woodses had refrained from putting up a for sale sign and arriving only a day after the contractors began their work. Despite renovations primarily focusing on the interior, neighbors reported no significant disturbance, even during activities like the basement jackhammering. So let's go back and revisit that. There was no public announcement or anything, but somehow this Watcher wrote this letter the day before they even closed on the house.
Crazy.
Isn't that?
Might have cameras in there or something.
Maybe. During a walkthrough, well,
maybe it's one of the contractors. Maybe he's got it wired up and he's spying on them.
What makes me think is maybe it is something to do with a real estate agent, because they would be the only ones, or a title agency or something like that. They would be.
What would be the motivation?
Maybe
hoping that they could sell the sell the house again and then have somebody buy it again, and
Well, I'm
kind of a
thinking
revolving door.
if they freaked them out enough, like they're trying to do, they could drop the price maybe to a price frame or a price range that they could afford. Maybe just a
Well,
theory.
that would only benefit the crazy person that's trying to get the house,
Exactly.
not the current people that are buying the house.
No. But if the people wanted the house and they
But
wanted it at a cheaper
then again,
price,
if it's nowadays, I mean, everybody wants to buy a haunted house. So, well, maybe not a creepy guy that lives across the street spying on you. but
right, there's a difference.
I don't know. Kind of the same to me.
You can exercise the demons, but
Well, you could throw a bag of poop on his porch. I mean, kind of the same thing, right?
maybe
You could put an EMF detector in the poop bag if you wanted to. See if he's got any devils in him or something.
maybe
Something,
He's got to have something in him.
Something, yeah.
He's absolutely
yeah.
crazy. During a walkthrough with Detective Lugo, Derek.
Lugo.
What's that?
Lugo.
Derek and Maria highlighted that the easel on the porch was shielded from the street view by surrounding trees, making it challenging to spot unless someone was positioned behind their house or in close proximity next door.
I'm telling you, the guy's got it wired. He's got cameras everywhere.
Hidden cameras, maybe in the vents.
Yeah. Could be on the trees or gutters. Who knows?
Something. This detail further suggested that the sender of the letters might have intimate knowledge of the property's layout and surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
A few days after receiving the first letter, Maria and Derek attended a barbecue across the street, which was organized to welcome them and another new homeowner to the block. Despite the unsettling presence of the Watcher in their lives, the Broadduses had refrained from sharing this information with anyone, as per the police's instructions. As they mingled at the party, they found themselves discreetly scanning the crowd for any potential clues, while also keeping a watchful eye on their children, who innocently darted through the gathering, oblivious to the underlying tension. Maria remarked, "We kept screaming at them to stay close. People must have thought we were crazy."
Yeah, probably.
During a conversation with John Schmidt, a neighbor who lived 2 doors down, Derek learned about the Langford family who resided between their homes. Peggy Langford, the matriarch, was in her 90s, and several of her adult children, all in their 60s, lived with her.
What?
Yeah.
Get the out.
Schmidt described them as a bit peculiar, but ultimately harmless.
Got 36-year-old children living in her home. I mean, geez. 14 cats, 8 dogs, and 2 bunnies.
Oh, don't forget the bunnies.
Oh, no, I don't forget the bunnies.
One of the younger...
Those are dinner, though.
One of the younger Langfords, Michael, stood out with his beard reminiscent of Ernest Hemingway and was characterized by Schmidt as kind of a Boo Radley character. Boo Radley is a fictional character in Harper Lee's 1960 novel To Kill a Mockingbird. His real name is Arthur Radley, and he's a mysterious, reclusive neighbor of the Finch family who lives 3 doors down the street from them. Boo is the subject of many children's scary legends.
Boo-hoo-hoo.
I had to include that because when they referenced Boo Radley, I didn't know who he was.
I still don't know who he is.
Yeah, just a mysterious, creepy guy,
I've heard the name and I've heard the
book.
The book.
I think I was supposed to read it in high school, but obviously I didn't.
Yeah, I played sports, That's my defense.
They didn't have the Cliff Note versions like they do nowadays either.
Yeah, I know. If we grew up in this age, we could have just popped in the movie.
Right?
Done deal, man.
Well, Derek was struck by the proximity of the Langford house to the easel on their porch. The Langfords had been residents since the 1960s, coinciding with the time frame mentioned in the Watcher's letters, which claimed that the sender's father had begun observing 657 Boulevard. Richard Langford, the patriarch, had passed away 12 years earlier, and the current watcher claimed to have been monitoring the property for the better part of 2 decades. This seemingly aligned with Derek's suspicions, leading him to believe that the case might be solved. When the Broadduses informed Detective Lugo about the Langford family, he revealed that he was already aware of them. About a week after receiving the first letter, Lugo brought Michael Langford to the police headquarters for questioning. However, Michael denied any knowledge or involvement in the letters. Despite this, the Broadduses claimed that Lugo indicated that certain details mentioned by Michael matched those referenced to the letters. Lugo cautioned them, stating, "This isn't CSI Westfield. When the wife is dead, it's the husband."
Okay.
Which I thought that was kind of, basically they're saying that if the wife is dead, the husband did it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Guilty as charged.
black and white type things. So,
Right.
despite the suspicions, there was a lack of concrete evidence. After a few weeks, the police chief informed the Broadduses that without a confession, there was little the department could do. Figures.
Go figure, yeah.
Derek expressed frustration, feeling that the safety of his family was being jeopardized. He stated, "This is someone who's threatened my kids, and the police are saying, probably nothing's going to happen. Probably isn't good enough for me."
Yeah, probably not.
Following the arrival of the second letter, Derek warned the police that if they failed to resolve the situation, that they would face a different kind of problem. "This person attacked my
He's
family."
gonna burn down Dunkin' Donuts. Oh my god. It's gonna get serious now.
Oh
The cops
boy.
are actually gonna get up their butt.
So Derek said, "This person is attacking my family, and where I'm from, if you do that, you get your ass beat."
Mm-hmm.
Frustrated by the lack of progress from the authorities, the Broadduses took matters into their own hands and launched their own investigation. Derek, in particular, became consumed by the case. He installed cameras throughout 657 Boulevard and spent sleepless nights monitoring them.
See, now they got cameras spying on cameras. Oh my god, it's getting very networky up in there.
It certainly is. So, hoping to catch any suspicious activity around the house, delving deeper and deeper, he meticulously researched the history of the residents in the neighborhood, discovering that the Langfords, they were the only family that had been there since the 60s. Derek's investigation became increasingly detailed as he mapped out possible sightlines for the easel and estimated a range of earshot from which someone could have heard Maria calling out their children's names. Through this analysis, he narrowed down the list of suspects to only a few homes that met both criteria, intensifying his determination to uncover the identity of the watcher.
Get him.
Get him,
Get
Derek.
him.
Get him. The Broadduses enlisted the help of several experts in their quest to uncover the watcher's identity. They hired a private investigator who conducted surveillance in the neighborhood and conducted background checks on the Langfords. Although no significant findings were developed, Derek also reached out to a former FBI agent who had served as the inspiration for Clarice Starling in The Silence of the Lambs.
Whoa.
Yeah. So he knew him because he had served on a high school board of trustees with him. Additionally,
Clarice.
hello, Clarice.
Hello, Clarice.
Which, according to the Matrix, wasn't said.
I don't care what they say.
That's bullshit.
It's not the Matrix. It's the Mandela effect.
Oh, yes. Sorry, the Mandela Freudian slip. And Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah. You got that. Huh?
I did. I loved that show. And they stole one of my words.
Butthead.
I said ass munch before they ever said ass munch. So I need royalties.
I came up with that word. I'm sorry.
No, I did.
No, I did.
I did.
Hey, knock it off now.
Fight
Read
about
your
it.
story.
Get back to the story.
Yeah.
So additionally, they also employed Robert Lehan, another former FBI agent, to perform a threat assessment.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're getting serious now. Lehan identified several characteristics in the letter that suggested an older writer, including old-fashioned language conventions such as double spacing between sentences and including the day's weather in the greeting. The letter displayed a certain literary flair, indicating a voracious reader, and surprisingly lacked profanity despite the evident anger, which Lehan interpreted as a sign of less macho, of them being a less macho writer.
Huh.
He even speculated whether the Watcher had drawn inspiration from the movie The Watcher, starring Keanu Reeves, where a serial killer stalks a detective pursuing him.
Hmm.
So
So nothing about being left or right-handed or anything like that, but he can tell what you ate for lunch, though.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Couldn't tell if he was a left or right-handed dominant typer, but
Yeah.
while Lehan didn't believe the Watcher was likely to carry out on any threats, he noted enough typos and errors in the letter to suggest erratic behavior. For instance, the first letter was dated as Tuesday, June 4th, even though June 4th that year fell on a Wednesday. Moreover, there was a palpable resentment directed towards the wealthy, with the Watcher expressing displeasure at the influx of new money in the town and criticizing the Broaddus's relatively modest renovations.
Hmm.
In another letter, the Watcher wrote,
The house is crying from all of the pain it's going through. You have changed it and made it so fancy. You are stealing its history, its cries from the past, and what used to be in the time when I roamed its halls. The 1960s were a good time for the 657 Boulevard when I ran from room to room, imagining life with the rich occupants there. The house was full of life and young blood. Then it got old, and so did my father. But he kept watching until the day he died. And now I watch and wait for the day when the young blood will be mine again. Yeah.
there we go with the young blood again. I
Yep.
mean, come on.
He is a kooky bastard.
He
That's all I gotta
is.
say about him.
Yes.
I mean,
So Lehan suggested investigating former housekeepers or their descendants, theorizing that the Watcher might harbor jealousy towards the Broadduses for purchasing the home they themselves couldn't afford. Despite the suggestion, the Broadduses remained focused on the Langford family. In collaboration with the Westfield police, they sent a letter to the Langfords announcing the fictitious plans to demolish their house in the hopes of provoking a reaction. However, this tactic yielded no results.
nothing.
Nothing.
Whoa.
Detective Lugo attempted a second interview with Michael Lanford, but made very little progress, and his sister Abby accused the police of harassing their family. Feeling stonewalled, the Broadduses sought legal assistance from Lee Levitt, who arranged a meeting with several members of the Langford family and their attorney.
Lyle Levitt was a lawyer?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I just thought he was a country singer.
That crazy hair, man.
Yeah.
It distracts the judge, distracts the jury.
What is it? All business in the front.
Business in the front, or party in the back.
No. Oh wait, he had a reverse mullet.
Yeah, his was like on top of his head. During the meeting, Levitt presented the letters and photographs illustrating how the Langford's home provided one of the few vantage points from which the easel on the Broaddus's porch could be observed. Despite tensions running high, the Langfords avidly maintained Michael's innocence. In the midst of this turmoil, Derek experienced a vivid dream in which he confronted Peggy, the eldest Langford, demanding that she erect an 8-foot fence between their properties, a symbolic representation of his desperation to distance his family from the Watcher's malevolence. Maria found herself plagued by unsettling dreams, one of which featured nearby residents wearing boots and carrying pitchforks, calling out to her children while she struggled to reach them in time. This heightened her paranoia, causing her to view almost anyone as a potential suspect.
I could see that.
Yes. Totally. I mean, you get everything. I mean, you're thinking that everyone's watching you.
Mhm.
Everybody could be the person. Any suspicious, like, car driving by
I mean,
slow.
the weird thing I don't understand is, okay, they've been through this for a while now. Why haven't you packed your stuff and gone?
They haven't moved into the house.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
they were doing the renovations and stuff, but at this point, they're living with Maria's family in Westford, but they haven't moved into the house themselves.
okay.
So she scrutinized the faces of shoppers at Trader Joe's for any signs of suspicion towards her children and spent hours scouring the internet for information on anyone who seemed dubious. I love how they keep referencing Trader Joe's.
Mm-hmm. Place rocks, man.
I mean, not Target, not Walmart,
Hell
or,
no.
Cub. Trader
Everybody
Joe's.
goes to Trader Joe's. Everybody knows that.
Despite the focus on the Langfords, there were compelling reasons to consider other suspects. Notably, the police had already interviewed Michael before the second letter was sent, making it risky for him to send subsequent letters.
Mhm.
Additionally, the neighborhood itself harbored potential suspects, with a private investigator uncovering 2 sex offenders within close proximity. Bill Woodward, the Broaddus' house painter, also observed peculiar behavior from neighbors behind 657 Boulevard, noting that an older man was sitting in a lawn chair facing the Broaddus' property instead of his own. I can just see someone sitting there in their lawn chair with binoculars.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure the whole town does it.
Right?
That's everybody.
They are very nosy.
Yeah.
However,
but I would assume that it's probably somebody that did work for the previous family or some kind of contractor, like the people that are renovating the house. There's something going on there.
There's definitely something going on there.
I mean, anybody that would live nearby, I don't think you could even probably look at them because they're resentful that they don't have a fancy house in that neighborhood. Right?
Right.
Right.
So I know I was listening to a podcast the other night on this story, and they talked about how this house originally, when it was first sold way back in the day, it was sold for $1. And then a few years later, again, it was sold for $1.
Okay.
And the person who bought the house was actually the mayor of the town.
Okay.
And then when he passed away, he willed it to his son. And then there's been many other owners since then. But their speculation was that it could have been somebody who was friends with the Watcher, currently could have been friends with the mayor's son. And he might have gone there to play, because it does reference that, he used to roam the halls, or he could have been like a housekeeper's child or something, and just very envious, and that he felt that house was his.
Right.
Or it was
that would be the road I would be thinking.
right. But they did try to go through. There was a gentleman that they interviewed that did dive into this case very, very deep. And he tried to find links in the community, links to somebody, like even looking at who Maria and Derek went to high school with. Or more so Maria, because she was from Westfield, just to see if there was something there. And they just could not find any connections. The only connections was the Langford family had been there since the 60s.
Yeah. So you would think it would be something with that family. somebody
Definitely.
that worked for that family.
Definitely. So, however, by the end of 2014, the investigation had hit a dead end.
Dead end. Oh,
The watcher left no digital traces, no fingerprints, or concrete evidence to link anyone to the threatening letters.
I mean, how? What kind of letters are these? Are they handwritten? Are they typed?
They're typed.
Oh, they're typed.
They're typed. Well, not typewriter typed, because this is 2014. And the reason they know it's not typewriter typed is because they actually type out the watcher
Mhm.
as the signature, and they do it in a cursive font. And there's not a typewriter that can switch fonts. So it is a printed out letter. But I did hear on another podcast that I listened to that back in 2014, any printer that you print out on
Mhm.
from, then or now has a digital print. So you can tell what type of printer it was printed from. So why didn't they ever go that route and investigate it that way to see if they could narrow that down?
Possible.
I'm not sure either. They were talking about it's something that they've used to solve some certain cases, that there is something that when you print out, it leaves like something on the page that they can read, and they can tell what type of printer and everything that it was printed from.
Dang it. Now I got to Google a bunch of stuff when we get done with this.
I
Jeez.
didn't know that either. So I thought that was very interesting.
It's wackadoo. Wackadoo.
Totally wackadoo. The letters themselves were cryptic, offering little in the way of tangible leads. Scott Krause, involved in the investigation for the Union County Prosecutor's Office, compared the search to finding a needle in a haystack. In December, the Westfield police informed the Broadduses that they had exhausted all options. In a gesture of desperation, Derek sought solace from his priest, who agreed to bless the house in an attempt to ward off the watcher's malevolent presence. I guess when you're desperate, but what are...
Let's bless the house from the evil neighbors so they can't get in.
Are they vampires that that they can't cross the threshold unless they're invited? Or I thought that was, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Whatever makes you feel better, whatever helps you sleep at night.
Where do these people live again?
The renovations at 657 Boulevard, including the installation of a new alarm system, were completed within a few months. However, the prospect of moving in filled the Broadduses with overwhelming anxiety. They grappled with troubling questions. Would it be safe for their children to play outside or even have friends over? Could they expect to receive new threatening letters every week? Derek explored options such as acquiring a trained German Shepherd, or even posting a job listing on a website for military veterans, seeking someone to patrol the backyard daily. However, the Broadduses were reluctant to turn their home into a fortified fortress. As Maria explained, at the end of the day, it came down to, what are you willing to risk? We weren't going to put our kids in harm's way.
Right. That's why you move.
Right.
Or you ship them off somewhere and then you track down this person.
Just something.
I mean, there has to be something. If the guy knows personal information, there's either cameras in the house or cameras outside of the house pointing in, certain
right. Is there
directions.
Bugs somewhere?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like micro cameras. There's got to be some kind of trace that this guy is figuring out all this information.
Right.
So the cops aren't doing enough. They don't care. It's like, we got better things to do.
They got Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
The roof didn't collapse on that. That was Trader Joe's.
I'm sure there's probably ways of, checking for fingerprints and stuff because, on these letters, I'm sure the guy probably didn't think about putting gloves on every time he wrote one of these letters.
Well, I can't remember if I got to it in the story or not, but they did find, there was no fingerprints, but they did find DNA, female DNA on the letter. So, but it doesn't say that if it was on the licked part of the letter
Mhm.
I mean, it could be the postal carrier may have been a female and she might have sneezed.
Yeah.
So,
Got some boogies on it.
right. But they did test the DNA to the Abby Langford, the neighbor, and it was not a match.
Right. I mean, we shouldn't even think that it's them at this point.
Right. So Derek found himself responding to occasional alarms at the house, sometimes in the middle of the night, always carrying a knife just in case. I'd be carrying more than
As
a
you would.
knife.
Yeah, 9 on your side.
Yes. The Broadduses' initial excitement about their new home had swiftly given way to fear and distress. Even Bill Woodward, the painter, witnessed Maria's emotional turmoil firsthand, with her breaking down in tears and trembling in his arms. Kind of odd that you're breaking down into your painter's arms.
A little bit. What's Bill got going on here?
Right? The situation was intensified by the Watchers' escalating erratic behavior, adding to the family's sense of helplessness and unease. In one of the letters from the Watcher, he wrote,
657 Boulevard is turning me on. It is coming after me. I don't understand why. What spell did you cast on it? It used to be my friend, and now it is my enemy. I am in charge of 657 Boulevard. It is not in charge of me. I will fend off its bad things and wait for it to become good again. It will not punish me. I will rise again. I will be patient and wait for this to pass, and for you to bring the young blood back to me. 657 Boulevard needs young blood. It needs you. Come back. Let the young blood play again, like it did once before. Let the young blood sleep in 657 Boulevard. Stop changing it and let it alone.
creepy.
I mean, wow. This
Yeah.
dude. Whoa.
Big time. The Broadduses found themselves in a difficult situation after selling their previous home and moving in with Maria's parents while still shouldering the mortgage and property taxes for 657 Boulevard. Derek described the indignity of shoveling the driveway in the early morning hours before returning to his in law's home. They chose to disclose the letters to only a few close friends, leaving others to speculate about their reasons for not moving in, leading to rumors of legal issues or even marital problems. The stress took a toll on their mental health, with constant arguments and the need for medication to sleep. Maria's therapist diagnosed her with post traumatic stress, advising that their ordeal wouldn't end until they rid themselves of the house.
Yeah.
So, 6 months after receiving the letters, the Broadduses made the difficult decision to sell 657 Boulevard. Should have done that right away.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, they listed it for more than they had paid to account for the renovations they had undertaken. However, suburban New Jersey real estate community proved to be exceptionally gossipy, and the rumors about the house being empty and the reasons behind it began to circulate. Interested buyers expressed concern about the unconfirmed rumors ranging from sexual predators to stalkers. The Broadduses provided partial disclosure of the letters to potential buyers and intended to share the full content with anyone whose offer was accepted. Despite receiving preliminary bids below the asking price, they were unwilling to accept such a financial loss and only planned to reveal the letters to serious buyers. However, no offers progressed to that stage, even after they lowered the price. Despite pressure from their real estate agent to withhold information about the letters, the Broadduses remained steadfast in their decision to disclose. Derek expressed disbelief in the idea of subjecting someone else to the same ordeal they had endured. Reflecting on their own experience, they considered how they would have reacted if the previous owners had disclosed the letter from the Watcher. The Woodses, the previous owners, recalled the letter that they received as strange rather than threatening, expressing that they never felt watch or experienced any issues during their time at the house. Feeling that the name alone carried enough ominous weight, the Broadduses felt it necessary to disclose the Watcher's existence to any family moving into 657 Boulevard. Consequently, on June 2nd, 2015, a year after purchasing the property, they filed a legal complaint against the Woodses. They argued that just as the Woodses had disclosed issues like the water seepage in the basement, they should have also disclosed the letter from the Watcher. Initially, the Broadduses hoped to reach a quiet settlement, keeping their children unaware of the Watcher's existence. Their lawyer reassured them that the story might at most attract minimal attention from a small legal newswire. However, the situation quickly escalated when a local reporter discovered the complaint, which contained excerpts of the Watcher's menacing threats. Despite the Broadduses' effort to seal the document, the story went viral, attracting news trucks and media attention to 657 Boulevard. Facing over 300 media requests, the Broadduses, advised by a crisis management consultant, opted to not speak publicly to shield their children from further scrutiny. They left Westfield and sought refuge at a friend's beach house, but their respite was marred by family emergencies, including Maria's grandfather's heart attack and their friend's grand mal seizure. Eventually, Derek and Maria sat down with their children to explain the real reason behind their reluctance to move into their home. The children had many questions about the Watcher, who they were, where they lived, and why they were fixated on their family. But Derek and Maria struggled to provide satisfactory answers. Derek reflected on the difficulty of having to have such a conversation with a 5-year-old, revealing the unsettling reality to them. Their town wasn't as safe as they believed, and there was a mysterious figure obsessed with their family. The conundrum of the Watcher spurred a flurry of speculation and theories among both online communities and local residents. Suggestions ranged from using ground-penetrating radar to uncover any hidden objects in the walls, to examining Google Maps Street View for potential clues. Some of the proposed suspects, including a scorned lover, a disgruntled real estate agent, or even a high schooler's writing project gone awry. However, others dismissed the Broadduses' concern, labeling them as wimps for not moving in.
Wimpy.
So they called them wimps for not moving in despite the threats. What would you do? Because I know you said that, if you were proposed on an old, beautiful Victorian house that was extremely haunted, that you would buy it.
Yeah.
Would
Haunted.
Would you buy it if there is a real live creeper?
With kids, no. Without kids, yes.
Yeah. Armed with a 9 on your side.
Or the poop bag. That does some damage, I'm telling you.
I'm sure. Smashing that down while it's on fire.
All you gotta do is figure out who it is.
That's the problem, trying to figure out who it is.
I don't really think that would be a problem.
You wouldn't think so,
I
but
don't think so.
in Westfield, the atmosphere was tense, with residents feeling unsettled by the looming presence of the Watcher. Lori Clancy, who teaches piano lessons near 657 Boulevard, recounted how one of her students became distraught after learning about the Watcher. Fearing to walk down the boulevard, at a town council meeting, Mayor Andy Skibitsky, I think that's how you say it.
Skibitsky.
That is a mouthful.
Yeah, Andy Skibitsky.
Reassured the public that the Watcher had remained silent for a year, and that although the case remained unsolved, the police had conducted an exhaustive investigation.
Sure they did. That's funny. I didn't know there was so much comedy in this story.
However, this statement puzzled the neighbors of 657 Boulevard, many of whom had not been contacted by the police during this investigation.
Really?
Right.
Shocker.
In the response, several neighbors wrote letters to the local paper expressing their confusion and frustration. Baron Chambliss, a veteran detective, was brought in to re-examine the case under national scrutiny. Reflecting on the initial investigation, Chambliss acknowledged that the Broadduses had not received the support that they needed. Really?
Finally, somebody realizes that something wacky's going on here.
Right. One individual who came under scrutiny was Michael Langford, who was diagnosed with schizophrenia in his youth. While his behavior sometimes unnerved newcomers to the neighborhood, such as wandering through yards or peering in windows, creeper,
Mm-hmm.
those who knew him described these actions as eccentric, but harmless gestures of neighborly kindness. If someone's peering in my damn windows, that's not neighborly kindness.
No, that's wackadoo stuff there.
That's like pre-serial killer shit.
Oh, yeah.
Peeping Toms, not good.
Yeah, you bet you know. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Despite suspicions, longtime acquaintances of Michael expressed doubt about his capacity to write these threatening letters. As Chambliss delved deeper into the case, he made a surprising discovery. DNA analysis on one of these envelopes revealed that the DNA belonged to a woman, which we kind of covered a little bit. This led him to focus his attention on Abby Langford, Michael's sister, who worked also as a real estate agent.
Oh, boy.
Chambliss considered whether she might have been motivated by a missed commission next door or other grievances. He even coordinated with the security guard at the local Lord and Taylor where Abby worked to obtain her plastic water bottle for DNA comparison. So now he's getting the job done here. I mean, at least he's doing more than the other people did.
Yeah, he got off his chair.
Yes. However, the sample did not match the DNA found on the envelope. Subsequently, the prosecutor's office informed Derek and Maria that the Langfords had been ruled out as suspects, though they did not disclose the reasons behind this decision. The Broadduses were taken aback by this revelation. They had been planning to file civil charges against the Langfords and wondered if the prosecutors were concealing information to prevent further turmoil. Sandy Langford, Michael's brother, expressed frustration, asserting that their family had lived on the Boulevard for decades without causing any trouble. With no viable suspect, the Broadduses resumed their own investigation. While they remained guarded about sharing details with the neighbors, they walked around the block with a picture of the watcher's handwriting, hoping for recognition. Despite their efforts, the only significant lead came when an older neighbor joked that the watcher's writing sounded similar to his own. They also enlisted the help of Kroll, a security firm led by a neighbor, to search for handwriting matches, but to no avail. Accordingly, they hired a forensic linguist, Robert Leonard, who combed through local online forums for linguistic similarities but found nothing substantial, aside from speculating that the author might watch the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I've never watched that.
I haven't either.
In more extreme measures, Derek considered enlisting a hacker to breach Wi-Fi networks in the neighborhood for incriminating evidence. However, they ultimately decided against it due to legal and practical challenges involved. Probably a good decision.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, you're going to land yourself in prison trying to solve this.
Oh, yeah.
Chambliss and the Westfield Police Department found themselves at a standstill once again. They even requested a DNA sample from Andrea Woods and questioned her 21-year-old son, who was taken aback by suddenly being considered a suspect. Despite their efforts, a year after the initial incident,
We'll be back after these messages.
Hello, my name is April, and I'm the host of the history podcast, Your Key. Your Key is 2 words, your and key. It's a play on the word dorky, which is really fitting because I'm a dork who loves to talk about history and random events and people from history. So come join me as I dive into these events and people. From Ötzi the Iceman to Studio 54, I cover it all in a way that's easy to consume. Get ready to hear a new and different perspective and gain a deeper understanding of the past while having some fun along the way. Welcome to Dorky. You can find and subscribe to Dorky anywhere you listen to podcasts. And Dorky is on all social medias as Dorky Pod. So be sure to check all of that out as well. Talk to you soon, friends.
Fresh leads were scarce, and a crucial clue had been overlooked. Another family on the Boulevard had received a similar letter from the Watcher around the same time as the Broadduses. However, they discarded the letter, only mentioning it after the news broke. This revelation added to the complexity of the case without providing significant leads. So I tried to find the contents of that letter and the contents of the letter that the Woodses received, and I couldn't find it. And
Well,
even
it just seems like if they would have just let it go and threw it in the garbage, they would have been fine, because everybody else seems to have done that. They get one letter, they throw it in the garbage, they forget about it, and
it's like they're feeding his attention.
right.
Yeah. And even the partial parts of the letters that we're reading in this story are not the full letters. They're just excerpts, and I can't find the full letters anywhere online. So during one stakeout on the Boulevard, Chambliss observed a suspicious car stopping in front of the house late at night. Upon investigation, he traced the car to a young woman in a nearby town whose boyfriend lived on the same block. According to her, her boyfriend was involved in a dark video game, including one featuring the character name The Watcher. Although Chambliss suspected the boyfriend's involvement, he failed to show up for scheduled interviews, and without sufficient evidence to compel him, the case went cold. Eventually, with media attention waning, Chambliss closed the case and shifted focus. So I looked into this a little bit deeper as well. There was not a game in 2014 called The Watcher, and I couldn't find anything with somebody with a character named The Watcher. So I'm wondering if it was maybe just something similar to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Me either. And I thought maybe you would know, because you love your games. So.
I do love my games, but I mean, it doesn't specify if it was a PC game or
right
console game or board game or.
So needless to say, I don't think he's the one.
Well, you never know.
You don't, but my instinct doesn't point to him. Whether my instinct is right or not, don't know. While the Broadduses grappled with the ongoing stress and fear, the incident became a local legend in Westfield, viewed as a spooky tale rather than a real threat. Many residents struggled to reconcile the sinister events with their perception of the peaceful neighborhood. Some even speculated that the Broadduses had fabricated the letters themselves. Various theories emerged regarding the Broadduses' situation, but none seemed to hold up under scrutiny. Some speculated that they concocted the letters as part of an elaborate scheme to back out of the home purchase or commit insurance fraud. Others suggested that they were aiming for a movie deal, although they declined offers and even sent a cease and desist letter to Lifetime regarding a movie called The Watcher. Another theory questioned their financial history, noting their property upgrades over the years. These speculations circulated despite the Broadduses providing explanations for each inquiry. First off, if they did the letters themselves, why wouldn't they move into the house? Second off, their property upgrades weren't actually, they did have a couple property upgrades, and the previous home to buy in this one was around around 300,000 or whatever. But in their history, it showed that there was multiple other loans and stuff like that. And those turned out to be refinances of the home for better interest rates. So it wasn't actually them buying multiple different properties. It was just them refinancing the homes.
Okay.
And, if they were in it for a movie deal, why would they send a cease and desist to Lifetime for creating a movie?
Sure.
The Westfields
Maybe they're holding out for HBO.
Well, Netflix did take it on. There is a Netflix series that's based on this. but I don't think they got any profits from it at all. The Westfield Leader even published an article casting doubt on the Broadduses' intentions, questioning their motives for renovating a home that they weren't moving into, and Maria's commitment to her family's safety based on her public Facebook page. So basically, they were calling her out because her profile picture on her Facebook page had her children in it. Who doesn't post pictures of their children on their Facebook page? However, the police cleared Maria's DNA, discrediting some of the accusations. Still, skepticism persisted, with some residents and even law enforcement entertaining the notion of an elaborate scam. For the Broadduses, who had deep roots in the community, the accusations were deeply hurtful. Accused of being con artists, they felt betrayed by their neighbors and the community that they'd been a part of for years. Derek believed that some residents preferred the conspiracy theory to facing the possibility of a real threat in their supposedly safe town. Despite their efforts to address the situation, they were met with disbelief and suspicion. Maria's upbringing in Westfield was marked by reminders of the dark side of human nature, including the infamous John List murders that occurred in the town. And that was that murder I talked about earlier. Despite its reputation as a safe community, Maria's mother cautioned her against having a false sense of security, emphasizing that bad things can happen anywhere. This upbringing shaped Maria's perspective and prepared her to confront the unsettling reality of the Watcher's letters. While some locals were more concerned about the potential damage to Westfield's reputation from the national press coverage, others worried more about the practical matters like property values and neighborhood stigma. Don't worry about the person being affected with this and this crazy man or woman in town, but it's going to bring the property values down.
Yeah.
The Broadduses found themselves ostracized not only from their home, but from their community. Derek wanted to leave Westfield, but Maria was determined to stay for the sake of their children, refusing to let the Watcher take more from them. Despite their resolve to remain in town, the Broadduses faced ongoing stress and anxiety. They eventually purchased a second home in Westfield using an LLC to keep its location private. However, even staying in town proved challenging, with Maria constantly monitoring her children's whereabouts and feeling the weight of their classmates' perception about Westfield's safety. The ordeal left a profound impact on the Broaddus family, forever altering their sense of security and belonging in their once idyllic hometown. The Broadduses faced the daunting task of determining what to do with 657 Boulevard amidst their ongoing legal battles and the stigma attached to the property due to the Watcher's letters. Despite their lawsuit against the Woodses, their prospects seemed bleak as New Jersey lacked regulations requiring sellers to disclose transient social conditions such as hauntings or unsettling letters. In an attempt to sell the house, the Broadduses organized open houses and meticulously scrutinized potential buyers, but each interested party backed out after reading the Watcher's letters. Faced with dwindling options, their real estate lawyer proposed selling the property to a developer who could demolish the house and divide the land into two sellable lots, potentially fetching around $1 million for each. However, this plan required approval from Westfield's planning board due to zoning regulations. The proposal sparked a heated debate in Westfield's community, with some expressing sympathy for the Broadduses' predicament, while others speculated about their intentions, labeling them as scam artists or incompetent homeowners. The Broadduses' cautious approach to sharing information about the Watcher in compliance with the police's instruction was misunderstood by some neighbors, further exacerbating the tension surrounding the property. The meeting of the planning board in January 2017 drew significant attention, with over 100 residents in attendance and tensions running high. One neighbor who lived across the street from 657 Boulevard even hired a lawyer to oppose the proposal to divide the property, raising suspicions that they might be the Watcher themselves.
Dun, 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 dun.
The discussion veered between concerns about aesthetics, potential tree removal, and the impact on the neighborhood's character. Some neighbors viewed the proposal as a threat to the integrity of the community, likening the houses to Westfield's Alamo and expressing a desire to preserve the neighborhood's identity. Abby Langford, a longtime resident, also voiced her opposition, citing the beauty of the existing house and her reluctance to see it replaced with something new. However, amidst the debate over zoning regulations, the neighborhood aesthetics, there was little mention of the underlying reason for the Broaddus's desire to tear down the house: the unsettling letters from the Watcher. Tom Higgins, another neighbor, brought attention to this oversight, expressing concern about the potential for the Watcher to target the new houses. Despite some residents showing compassion, the prevailing focus remained on the financial considerations of the perceived threat of the property values. The rejection of the proposal by the planning board was a devastating blow to Derek and Maria. Their hopes for resolving their financial burden and moving past the nightmare they'd endured were dashed. Despite their efforts to convey the gravity of the situation to their neighbors, they felt as though their plea for understanding had fallen on deaf ears. The decision reinforced their sense of isolation and betrayal within their own community. And the actual reason that they rejected the proposal wasn't because they were new homes, supposedly. Supposedly, it was because the square footage of the lot would have been like 3 square feet less than the required. But other houses in the neighborhood were under the required square footage of the lot as well. So they tried to fight it that way too, and it just didn't work for them.
Nothing worked. I
No,
don't get
another
it.
dead end.
Hmm.
However, amidst their despair, there was a glimmer of hope. A family had agreed to rent 657 Boulevard, providing some relief for the Broadduses. Despite the ongoing threat from the Watcher, the new tenants were undeterred, expressing confidence that they would handle any challenges that arose. Yet the presence of a clause in the lease allowing them to break it in case further letters underscored the persistent fear that lingered over the house. Just when it seemed there might be some semblance of normalcy, another envelope arrived.
Figures.
The cycle of torment perpetuated by the Watcher continued, a haunting reminder that the nightmare was far from over. In the letter, he wrote,
Violent winds and bitter cold, to the vile and spiteful Derek and his wench of a wife Maria.
ooh, a little bitter there.
Yeah, he's pissed off now.
The arrival of the new letter, filled with the vindictiveness and contempt, reopened the wounds inflicted by the Watcher's relentless harassment.
Stop opening the letters.
Throw 'em
Jesus.
away. Dated on the same day as the Broadduses' deposition in their lawsuit against the Woodses, it suggested a chilling proximity to their lives, fueling suspicion and paranoia. The letter's tone was notably different from the previous ones, reflecting a heightened level of anger and hostility. It seemed that the Watcher had been closely monitoring the Broadduses' actions and interactions, demonstrating an unsettling level of awareness in their movements and efforts to uncover their identity. The mention of media coverage, surveillance efforts, and the attempt to tear down the house indicated that the Watcher was not only aware of external events, but also took pleasure in upsetting the Broadduses' attempt to find relief from their torment. The references to the soldiers of the Boulevard and the army of supporters hinted at a network of allies or sympathizers, further complicating the situation. The letter served as a chilling reminder that the Watcher's influence extended beyond mere words on a page. It instilled fear and uncertainty, leaving the Broadduses to grapple with the unsettling reality that their tormentor remained at large, capable of inflicting further harm in unpredictable ways. The letter continued.
Maybe a car accident, maybe a fire, maybe something as simple as a mild illness that never seems to go away, but makes you feel sick day after 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 day. Maybe the mysterious death of a pet, loved one, suddenly dies. Planes and cars and bicycles crash. Bones break.
Damn. He's getting real now.
Oh, he's pissed. He's a creeper.
Big time. I mean, to start threatening them that something could just happen.
Right?
It's insanity.
That's a little kooky.
The Broaddus's ordeal continues to cast a long shadow over their lives. Despite their effort to move forward, the trauma inflicted by the Watcher's letters lingers, manifesting in persistent anxiety, financial strain, and social banishment. The recent letter arrived unexpectedly after a period of relative calm, reigniting their fears and reminding them that their tormentor still held power over their lives. Their attempts to seek justice have been met with frustration and disappointment, with law enforcement unable to provide any substantial leads or resolution. The sense of vulnerability and uncertainty persists, exacerbated by the realization that the Watcher could be anyone, even someone in their own community. The decision to rent out 657 Boulevard offered a temporary reprieve, but the financial burden remained, further compounding their stress and anxiety. The persistent rumors, the accusations from some members of the community only added to their sense of isolation and injustice, highlighting the cruel reality of suburban life where gossip and speculation can inflict as much harm as a physical threat. Reminds me of high school.
Mm.
So it was found out that Derek did send some letters to his neighbors, faking that they were like the Watcher sending the letters. And
Brilliant.
Right.
Brilliant idea.
He wanted them to have the sense of fear that they had.
Right.
But instead of signing it the Watcher, he signed it Friends of the Broaddus family. So, but he did come clean about sending those letters out, but he still denies him or Maria having any involvement with sending any of the other letters. So they have sold the property.
Mm-hmm.
They sold it for, I think it was 300,000 or 400,000 less than they bought it for. So I think they sold it for around 900,000. The current owners of the property have not had any letters, or they haven't admitted to having any letters anyway. Probably threw them away if they did. And they decline any media attention, decline to do any interviews. The real estate agent who sold the house to them also stays anonymous and declines to have any interviews. So basically, there is no more, and they haven't heard anything more from the Watcher.
Crazy.
Isn't that story just insane?
Yeah, a little bit.
That is something of a horror movie.
This guy's getting the information somehow, right? This
Right.
Watcher person, if they do actually exist. Again, I guess if you can't find any proof of any cameras in the area that are pointed towards the house,
Right.
well, maybe it is that family.
Could be. And has anybody checked the walls in the basement?
Yeah.
I mean, what is in the walls? What is he referencing?
I don't know. It's a good question. You'd think it'd be easy enough to find out, you know? I mean, you'd think the police would have wanted to find out, you know, by at least drilling some micro holes and
Yeah, I was going to say, I know they have those
bore scoping the walls or something, you know?
something, but I know they have that ultrasonic equipment that can go over the ground like they used in that Skinwalker Ranch.
To like find bones and stuff.
Yeah, can that go through like concrete or brick or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody tell us what's in the freaking walls.
We'll probably never know because it's probably a fictional story.
But yeah, there is a Netflix multi-part series that is based on this story, and it's a good story, but they definitely put their own spin on it and add more to it. But definitely go check that out.
And I would say it probably just is a story. you know?
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably some grains of truth in it, but there should be some kind of proof.
Well, and it was funny when I was digging, trying to find the full letters or find more information on the letters.
Hmm.
I found that there is an Etsy shop that sells replications of these letters.
Oh, I'm sure.
And people were commenting about how funny it was for them to be able to get these replicas, and they inserted different addresses and were sending them to their friends. I'm like, what kind of friend are you if you're sending these kind of letters?
A funny one. Gotcha. April Fools.
Well, I got the majority of this information. I mean, I was multiple different sources and stuff.
Did you get it from wackadoo.com?
No, I should have. That would be a good place to do it. But there was a big article that was done by The Cut. And that's where this whole story kind of blew up.
Okay.
And so if you get a chance, go out and read that article. It's pretty crazy. I mean, I covered pretty much everything that they did in it as well. But yeah, this whole story blew my mind. And the first time I ever heard it was on a podcast. And I was like, what the frick? Are you kidding me? Is this for real? So
yeah,
it's
you definitely find the doozies.
I
I'm gonna
like
say
the
that for
doozies.
sure.
At least nobody died this time, at least that we know of.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 deaths would have been good, you know? Keep it a little bit active, you know? I mean, I was starting to fall asleep halfway through that.
I am sorry. I didn't mean to put you to sleep. I thought it was a pretty intense story.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Well,
and that wraps up another hair-raising episode of Total Conundrum. We hope you enjoyed joining us on this journey into the chilling depths of the Watcher House.
Indeed. A huge thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in and sharing in the thrills and chills with us. As always, we value your feedback. Please rate and review our podcast on Apple and Spotify. Subscribe and like on YouTube, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode.
Your support keeps us going. If you have any story ideas or recommendations, contact us at totalconundrum.com, or you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Remember, Conundrum Crew, the mystery never ends. Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep seeking the truth, and most importantly, keep on creeping on. We love you.
Smell you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for hanging out with us here at Total Conundrum. Please make sure to check out our website and blog at totalconundrum.com for news, upcoming events, merch, bloopers, and additional hysteria. You never know what will pop up, so be sure to follow along. If you want to show your support for Total Conundrum and gain access to all of our bonus content, please visit our Patreon page. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The links are available in our show notes. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, or stories to share, please email us at contact@totalconundrum.com. Episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate the love. Keep on creeping on, mother cluckers.